Welcome to a special series where we interview a host of notable people from the G100 Summit in Los Cabos, Mexico, on the moment that changed everything. Here, you'll learn their secrets to success, gain invaluable insights into what shaped their careers, and key takeaways on what it takes to be a leader in their field.
This is absolutely what we need. This is absolutely the future. We have to get on this.
Talk to people who think so beautifully about big, complex challenges.
G100 Los Cabos, Mexico, a special series on the moment that changed everything.
How much time do you spend thinking?
Wow, that's an amazing question. I think I'm 24 hours, 24/7.
Okay.
Sometimes the thinking is, sometimes it's nagging because you don't want to think, you want to chill, but you think. Sometimes the thinking is that you are working on something and then you go to the restaurant or to the shower or to the toilet and suddenly an idea comes. And I think also in sleep, things are going on and you wake up in the morning and suddenly you have another small progress or another connection or a new idea. So I think it's like an ongoing, we have like thousands and thousands of thoughts, any of us, during our day-to-day. And I think using meditation, you can try to tune a bit more what type of thoughts you have and try to have like more thoughts that are creative and are moving you forward rather than thoughts that are anxious, that are,
You said meditation.
Yes.
You meditate.
Yes, a lot.
A lot. So 2 times a day, 3 times a day?
I meditate every day in the morning when I wake up for about half hour. I meditate always before I'm going to sleep for about half hour. And then sometime I would take and that's something that I started like only in the last 4 or 5 years, and it changed completely my life.
Why?
And my creativity.
And
this ability to scale up suddenly became much, much bigger, but also the ability to relax and shut down when you don't want to work improved. I'm not there yet, but it's improved a lot.
And what was the impetus for this? What
triggered me to start? I think I was like on a very intensive track. I did like my undergrad both in music and jazz performing and in cognitive neuroscience. Then I did direct computational neuroscience PhD. Then I went to NIH. Then I went for 3-4 years at Harvard Medical School. Then I started the lab and went from lecturer in small lab to a professor and have my own big team. And that was like 20 years in a row, of like, and then you have this genius, invention that's called sabbatical. And I didn't use it because I was like running 3 times. So I said, okay, now I have to take sabbatical and take care of myself a little bit and my family and, everyone. And that's what I did. And there I started to read about all the options to, recharge and so on, and started meditating and did some other stuff. Yoga, dancing, playing, go back to play. And this really changed my life.
So
also the way that I'm doing science and technology development and business, like all of them changed.
Well, you talked about a moment about you have creative ideas when you sleep. Is that dreams?
Yes, it's dreams, but also it's a quite famous phenomena. For example, if you are, let's say you have 8 hours to study it for an exam, and let's say you are studying for 8 hours, and now everything is fresh on your mind, and you go to give the exam. Second option, you study for 8 hours, you go to sleep. So apparently you forget some of it because you were sleeping and you have different dreams, and then you do the exam, you actually get much higher score and you remember much more. So something besides dreams, and you could have dreamed about something completely different from what you studied, but something happening in the brain, and now we understand it a bit better, that consolidate the information and create this connection. So this is like one type of what's going on in your sleep. Another dreams or thoughts, but when you fall asleep and when you wake up, or when you are in this situation that we are between being awake and being asleep, is actually known to be like a very creative stage. And there is now even some companies that try to wake you up exactly in this moment, so you would have a creative thought and a new connection.
So is that sort
So
of...
it's really interesting. When you are not trying, you're actually getting better. You're getting better, more creative ideas. Of course, you have to put the work to build the language and the structure and so on and so forth, you know.
With every new project, are they like children? You just love them to death? Is each one important? Or can you let one of them go?
Wow, that's a great question. I think generally in my life, I'm a person of more and more and more and more and more and more, and do more projects, and I cannot let go of projects, and at some point, and the same with food. I love to eat, so if there is 30 dishes, I would try each and every one. You know, I would go to a jazz festival. I want to hear 30 shows at the same night until my brain would explode, but I cannot say no for a good show. And I think I'm just getting into a point in my life which I'm discovering the power of letting go, of less is more, of choose very carefully what you are eating, what you are doing in science, what projects you are taking, what are you focusing. I still like to do several, but I'm trying to let go of some projects and pass them on to other researchers, to other students, or just give them up. By the way, one of the things I'm doing now in the last 2 months is intermittent fasting, because if there is 30 dishes, I would want to try each and every one of them. But if I have this window of like 16, 18 hours that I don't eat in this, so, you know, this is giving up. But you're in state of mind of less, of giving up. And then in the 6-8 hours or in the projects that you do take, you are so hungry and passionate about them, even more. So it's a really interesting point of my life. Your question is that I'm trying to discover the power of doing less and to choosing more carefully what to let go and what to keep.
What were you like as a kid?
I was actually, I grew up in a very, very tough and poor environment and violent environment. It was 70s in Jerusalem, a lot of terror. I was living in this ghetto, like a very poor area that was actually they put like immigrants from the 50s, like in one of the last like almost refugee camps. And then I discovered very early in my life, and my parents were always like telling me from day one, your ticket out, you know, like in the ghettos in the States, for Afro-American, they would say, you know, your ticket, there is a lot of rap songs about it. I love hip-hop, by the way. It's a new thing after liking jazz all my life and classic. I'm now really into hip-hop. Your ticket out is either the NBA, like a sport, or music. So my parents were, you know, your ticket out is education. And I started to learn to read at the age of 4, and when I discovered reading, it's changed my life. So I was like, for like 6 years after that, I read, I had actually the keys to a couple of libraries that I could borrow like 20 books and reinvent the world by reading. Later, I started also playing basketball and playing music and become a bit more like, do other things in my life, you know, discovering girls. So there was other aspect, but and reading I kept until today. Now I have less time to read, unfortunately, and I think it's a problem. But it was like kind of, I was spending a lot of times with myself also, not just with friends, you know, and inventing my own internal, you know, who I am. I don't know, and thinking about things by reading and escaping from the environment, from the violence. Like we would have kids at school that die from knives. So, like it was a really tough environment,
Wow.
and all the terror that was going on at that time. So this was like an amazing oasis and escape, you know. And later I discovered a bit more social stuff and more fun stuff, and you know, dancing and playing and sports and it was. I was too shy and into myself for like a good decade, and that was like the next step in the evolution was to open up to the other stuff.
The name of our show is The Moment That Changed Everything. Is there one that you have, or are there just so many?
Wow, what an amazing question. I have many. I have two stories about moments that changed everything, and they are in relation to two things that are very central in my life. One is science and being a brain scientist, and the other is about music. So I used to play in the youth orchestra of Jerusalem, and actually I was playing to I don't know how many presidents, and because you know Teddy Kollek was the for 25 years, we host every week a different delegation or you know VIPs, and but I was like, it was okay, the music. And then one day I was like sitting in my home. I had these double tape cassettes, you know. Actually, it was broken. It was not a stereo. It was just one side worked because it was. And I'm listening to something, and I'm like, "That's crazy. What is it?" And I'm pressing the record button and record only one side of the music, and it was My Favorite Things by John Coltrane.
Okay.
And that moment changed my life. It was like, okay, wow. And that's where I started to learn jazz and get more serious in music, and both in enjoying it and trying to play. So that was one moment that I remember, like how I was like, it was like boom, like in the movies, fell in love. And I used to listen to it like hundreds of times and thousands of times. And later discovered other. The second moment that was changing my life, it's actually, it's a funny story, you know, when you're like 22, you know, yes, I was very serious about, or 24, I don't know, about studying, but I was actually wanted to be a marine biologist, and I took like a couple of courses. And then between the first and the second year, I was traveling on a very low budget to Greece, because it's the shortest flight, and I had the charter, you know, one of these, you know, $20 flight. And at that time you had to confirm your flight back, and they told me my flight is the day early than the day that it was supposed to be. And I was really bummed. Why did they take, you know, a day from my vacation? And I went to the university, and I'm seeing this girl that I had a huge crush on. And I go into the university to pay for my tuition fees, and you know, and register for the courses. Because I came a day before, I said, okay, I will use this day. And she's like, oh, Amir, did you came for the interviews for the new experimental cognitive neuroscience program? It was the first program for undergraduates in the whole country and one of the first in the world. And I was like, no, I just came to, you know, pay the tuition. She said, but this is voluntary. Why don't you come and try to get interviewed? I'm just going there. And just because I had a crush on her, I was like, I told her, you know, I didn't even register for the interviews, and they've like 50 interviewing 50, and they take 8, and they said, okay, I know the secretary, and she put me in the last name, and we both were part of this 8. And it actually was funny. I was like entering the committee, and was like, why did you want to study in this program? I was like starting to bullshit them, you know, you're BSing them, you know, ever since I was young, I was fascinated, but blah, blah, blah.
You didn't say it was your girlfriend or this woman you had a crush on?
No.
Because I would have done that.
You're smarter than me. You're smarter than me. But anyway, I guess they took mainly by the grades, and I was a nerd and reading a lot, so I had good grades. And 2 weeks into this program, I was like, boom, I'm quitting everything. This is what I'm going to do in my life.
Really?
Yeah, it was like, in this moment, accidental, rolling doors. I don't know how this movie
sliding
called.
doors.
Sliding
Yeah.
doors, exactly. Sliding door moment. Both of them, like accident. If I wouldn't listen to this, marathon on John Coltrane, or wouldn't meet, all life would be different. Still amazing, but different.
Wonderful. We're with Professor Amir Amedi on the moment that changed everything from Los Cabos in Mexico as part of the Genius 100 Summit. Amir, thanks so much. Let's do this again.
Yes, it was a huge pleasure. Thanks so much.
To learn more about how you can support G100 initiatives, visit genius100visions.com.